Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Dragonstorm Draws. So last time I drew this picture. It's of a very generic person. It's not anyone in particular, but it was just to show the placement of eyes, nose, and mouth on the face itself. And I thought, what better example to use now for drawing hair, since the base is already done. So I just want to talk very briefly about some little tricks in drawing hair. Hair can be very tricky. In fact, I think it was probably the last thing that I got, and I'm using air quotes here, good at, in terms of me being happy with the way it turned out anyways. So the first thing I do with hair is I always darken the roots. And very often what that does is it not only adds realism, because you often don't get a lot of light penetrating toward where the roots are, but also it makes the little part stand out more. So if we just kind of darken the roots here, then that part where the hair splits off in two different directions does stand out a little bit more. It looks a bit more natural that way. And based on where the light is in the eyes that I drew, the light's coming from the right hand side. So I'm going to start with the left actually, only because that way there's less chance of me getting my palm in my shading. If I start over here, then when I get to this part of the drawing, I might get some smudging on my hands, and that might actually lead to smudging on the work as well. So a little trick is always start on the side opposite your dominant hand. So if you're left-handed, I would recommend you start on the right-hand side of your drawings. And if you're a righty like me, start on the left. And then you just kind of work your way along so there's less chance of you smudging your work. One of those little drawing hacks that we like to use here. There are many of them. I'm also going to darken where the hair overlaps. So the hair isn't like overlapping the face itself. It's kind of looping down here, and wherever it's not looping, so the inner part of the loop, if that makes sense, will be darker, because this part is sticking out more. This part here is more in shadow. We're going to darken that whole area a little more than the rest of the hair. And again, depending on the person you're drawing, their hair might be darker or lighter. I'm going to do a medium lightness in the hair here. And then hair itself, you don't want to draw individual strands unless you've got a couple maybe sticking out here and there. You want to try and stick with what I call clumps. Hair wants to clump together. And next time you're people watching, hopefully not too overtly, I recommend just kind of looking at that people's hair, especially if they have long hair. You can kind of really see how the hair wants to group together. And I'm just going a bit darker. If you have a pencil set with you, maybe like a 4B or 5B pencil is great for just getting those little darker elements there. And because the clumps have their own little shadows in between those clumps of hair. So already you can see the difference one side to the other in terms of the detail. And it didn't take a whole lot. So again, right hand side, same sort of thing. Just gonna emphasize where the roots are here, and then have a clump of hair just overlap. Didn't need these ones after all. Now, because the light's coming from the right hand side, as I do the right side of the hair, I'm going to be very aware of where I want a reflection in the hair, especially hair which is very healthy. So you often see this in ads for various beauty products, hair products in particular. You're going to get a reflection. So if light's coming from this direction, I'm going to actually leave a bunch of the hair without that darker element. In fact, I think that's hard to see there. There was a bit of smudging, so I'm just going to erase some of the work there. Now, I actually did something just now which I probably shouldn't have done. I wiped away some of the bits of eraser. If you've got a very delicate area where you want smudging, or maybe you don't want smudging in particular, one thing you can do with eraser bits is use the eraser itself to pick them up. So you can kind of see there are some eraser bits there on the page. I'm using the eraser just to kind of pick those up, and then that way you're not smudging your work So I should demonstrate good practices there in drawing. So I still have my clumps there forming. But when I darken the hair, I'm leaving a reflection, maybe right about here. And it's a subtle thing. It's not terribly noticeable, but just like a special effect in a movie, the best ones are the ones you don't notice. I think that goes for soundtracks as well. If you don't really notice the soundtrack, it's not soundtrack, but the score. If you don't notice the score, it's probably doing its job. Same sort of idea here. We don't want to be super in your face. If I was drawing an anime character, very often when you've got hair for an anime character, you end up with like a wavy line to show that reflection. And that looks, I mean, especially if the hair is bright and beautiful and one of those really amazing, outlandish, wonderful colors, then that actually works really well for that style. A bit more cartoony. But for something a bit more realistic, try this out. You might find that it just creates a much more natural sort of effect. And so we've got some hair there. I'm also going to add a bit of a shadow beneath the chin and jaw, something I didn't think to do in my last video. Alrighty, so I hope you found that helpful, useful. You're going to see a lot of examples of hair. I love drawing hair. I'm still learning myself when it comes to drawing hair. I'm still not an expert, and the reason I did straight hair here is I'm much more comfortable with that. Once you get waviness to the hair or lots of small curls, I think your name is Meredith from Brave. That movie has got some amazing hair animations. That becomes more challenging for sure. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please consider doing all of those wonderful YouTube things, liking, sharing, maybe even subscribing to my channel if you want to see the content as it comes out. Make sure you turn your notifications on, please. Thanks so much and have a great day. Bye-bye.